Hey, what's up ladies and gentlemen, it is I'm the one and only Merxy here, and I'm from the likes of the Merxy Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Sonic Advance 3 for the Game Boy Advance. So last time we have managed to accomplish the forms of the 6th zone in this game, which appears to be Cybertrack. In this case to me though, my least favorite zone in that particular game so far. So today for this episode is the fact that we are moving on to the next and possibly the final zone in the game. Well, at least if you want to include the final 2 zones later on, until when I discuss more about that, until later on today, as well as the forms of on Thursday. So because of that though, yeah, we hit on to the forms of Chaos Angel Zone, which apparently though, rather than taking place into outer space this time around, unlike the forms of how it does it on Sonic Advance 1 and Sonic Advance 2 for both, well, let's just say Egg Rocket Zone, well, usually from the very beginning of Zone 6 in Sonic Advance 1, and then eventually you'll hit on to outer space later on. And, also in Sonic Advance 2, that we ended up on the forms of Egg Utopia Zone, which is a space-themed world. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're now onto the forms of the 7th zone in the game. This is, without a doubt, the hardest zone in the entire game, and even especially noticeable in the entire trilogy so far. Mainly due to the fact that, well, if you come across into the forms of those crumbling platforms from the very beginning of Act 1, as you can see, that I managed to actually just win bypassing through it. That down there is a bottomless pit, so you will plummet to your death if you're not careful. So, yeah, you're gonna have to get used to with the actual crumbling platforms that you might actually just utilize those a lot. So, at least specifically in the outside portion of the actual zone itself. So, even then though, yeah, this Chaos Angel Zone is apparently some sort of like a, well, let's just say a spiritual sequel to the forms of those 2 Angel Island-based zones from Sonic Advance 1 and 2. Like, one is the forms of Angel Island Zone from Advance 1, and Sky Canyon Zone from Sonic Advance 2. So now we're on the 3rd time we ended up on, technically, the Angel Island themed zone. So even then though, and what's interesting is the fact that this is the last zone, at least if you want to count the forms of the extra 2 final zones until later on. So either way though, you probably expected by this much, so a few things we want to explain about for this point today is the fact that obviously today's day is of course the 27th of April today, in this case in 2021. We only got about 4 more days to go until not only May, but eventually until 3 days left until new Pokemon Snap for the Nintendo Switch will be releasing until 3 days from now on. So even then though, expect me to be hyped as always. Well, at least to be more specifically, I am. So I know that everyone else might not find this a big cup of tea, but either way though, that's as far as, you know, some spin-off not interest or something like that. I don't know. So as I said before, this is one of the hardest zones in the game, just because of not only in terms of bottomless pits, but also, get this, is the fact that there's going to be a lot of instant death moments, most notably with getting crushed all the time, and also some cheap enemy placements every once in a while, and don't even get me started by the forms of how the fact that, well, since we're gonna have to still dealing with the actual screen crunch resolution, so this meaning about the fact that you can't really tell what certain placements are. So because of that though, and relatively speaking, is the fact that this will be the final time we're going to be able to actually dealing with finding every single Chao in the game. Even though, mind you, we've only exactly got 9 Chao left until we're able to actually get ourselves the final special stage key, and eventually we'll hit on to the forms of the final stage, or the final special stage as well. So even then though, I expect it to be a little bit more of a, well, certain accomplishments or something, I don't know. So, as you can see, we did manage to play as Cream once again, but this time around though, we're actually going to be teaming up with Knuckles. And with Cream, with Knuckles, as far as the team combination as far as I'm concerned, I think this is easily another one of those best combinations, because as you can tell, that if you're trying to pair up with Knuckles, since after all we're now on the power type symbol on it, and this meaning about the fact that, as you can see, that what the heck is Cheese doing? Well, basically, he actually decides to protect you from the actual surroundings. Like, he just circles around Cream, and basically it's almost like a defense mode or something, which It will be pretty useful though, especially noticeable that if you almost run into the forms of enemies most of your time, then basically that was the best combination you can think of. So even then though, yeah, it's actually pretty swell. And by the way, use the attack action, just like the forms of how it does it on most characters. If you team up with Knuckles, then basically if you stand completely still, use the actual ball projectile. If you use the attack action, standing still. But then if you jump, then obviously Knuckles will glide for you. So because of that though, but again, you can't really climb onto walls if you ride on Knuckles. So just because, well, it's pretty obvious because Knuckles might not see anything above him. So at least imagine that. So for this outside portion, as you can see, the area we're in right now, that if you screw up at least once for that specific platforming department, then obviously you fall down to the death below, which again, it's bottomless pit heavy, so just like in Angel Island Zone and Sky Canyon Zone, then be prepared for a lot of trial and error situations, which that's what Dim's managed able to do nowadays. Especially noticeable whenever we get onto Sonic Rush eventually, that's one of those zones in particular does have a lot of emphasis on bottomless pits, which we'll point it out if we manage to able to get around into Sonic Rush. So anyway, so Act 1, as you can see, that we actually got ourselves a glorious gold medal, as you can tell. And by the way, most of these levels every now and then for Chaos Angel Zone, those acts will go by far, well, it can take way too long this time around, which it probably took you about 5 minutes if you have a first time playing for this particular zone. Well, to be more specifically, the first 2 acts, except the third and final act, but we'll discuss on that later. So as you can see, we're now able to actually go on to Act 2, and as you can see, we now ended up with Cream and Amy combination. So because of that though, again, if you team up with Amy, then you're obviously referring to Sonic Events 1 style Amy, because obviously with the jump and everything, and also utilize the hammer as well. So even I know, expecting to be a little bit more specific than that. So yeah, one thing I forgot to mention about this actually, ever since the very beginning of the Let's Play, is that, obviously, is the fact that certain team combinations has their, special names to it. Like, to be more specifically, Unbreakable Bond from the likes of Sonic and Tails, if you manage to select that combination, that team combination has a special name. Like, Unbreakable Bond with Sonic and Tails, the Fighting Buddies if you play as Sonic and Knuckles, or Knuckles and Sonic, and Lovely Couple if you play as Sonic and Amy, or Amy and Sonic together, and Team Jubilee, which is, it's actually kind of interesting, because if you're able to team up with, well, if you play as Cream and your teammate will be Amy, basically you get yourselves a very interesting special team name, which appears to be Team Jubilee, which is pretty interesting, all things considered, because, well, as far as I'm aware, just because of the fact that, well, originally they were expecting to able to actually add in some more special names for certain team-up combinations for certain characters. Like, imagine if you're trying to able to let Cream, or if you're trying to play as Cream and Tails as your partner, it just says, okay, not something specialty. Like, for instance, that Team Flyers or something like that, and I think that's as far as I can usually try to describe about this for the most part, so, be out of that grass. I gotta say that this particular world, or this zone in particular, almost reminds me of a Lost World vibe from the likes of Sonic Adventure, where, if you know, with the forms of some sort of like a temple ruins and stuff like that. Yeah, it does remind me of a Lost World level from the likes of Sonic Adventure, not Sonic Lost World, because that's its own game. So, yeah, you probably get the idea how that goes, so. But yeah, there's not much else I can honestly try to talk about for the sake of time, folks, aside from the fact that, well, usually relatively speaking, with that, we almost nearly at the end of April already, so expecting to be more accurately, the time itself just went flying by, and, yeah, that's all things considered, and, yeah, we almost pretty much done with the forms of this game in particular, in addition to able to almost completely done with the forms of this game. Now, we pretty much guarantee we can able to conclude the rest of the entirety of the Sonic Advance games, well, specifically for our channel, or for my channel, I should say. So, yeah, it seems pretty awesome, all things considered, and easier said than done. Even though technically there are a few missing games, I would like to point things out, such as, for instance, Sonic Pinball Party, but usually I'm just suck at this game, just because, well, I don't have the original cartridge for it, so because of that, though, I think I should probably skip that from now on. But it does manage to include some of the, other Sega character guests, such as Amigo from Samba de Amigo, which is pretty cool, and of course Knight from Night into Dreams. So yeah, it seems pretty awesome, all things considered, but despite that, it's basically like a pinball game and not much else to it. So and also same applies to Sonic Battle, which I don't know if I might able to actually do that Let's Play, if only if the fact that I need to able to get a lot of practice on Sonic Battle. Well, to be more specifically, if I was trying to able to play it on the emulator. Although, the only thing is, though, is the fact that the computer rubber banding is like, well, it's kind of impossible to able to actually just... Although, to be fair, though, is the fact that it is a pretty fun game, don't get me wrong, but, some of these missions can be super frustrating. Like, for instance, in one of those missions in Knuckles' storyline, you have to face off against with 3 guard robos, and, yeah, you just have to do the ridiculous amount of KOs with those, specifically with those, you know, guard robos, or in this case, E102 Gamma, with any forms of the grey color. And by the way, something worth knowing for is the fact that it's kind of weird how, oh, don't you dare, stupid little, Buzzstormers. I hate these guys, in a huge passion. But anyway, though, but again, as I said before, with this particular level alone, that if you screw up with that specific platforming in mind, then obviously you have to come across into a bottomless pit, and you lose lives super fast. And don't even get me started until the 3rd and final act of, well, before the boss anyway. So either way though, we'll get to that at some point. We'll get into that. So, but anywho, yeah, with the forms of Sonic Battle, that, it's kind of weird how the fact that E102 Gamma just managed to make a comeback in Sonic Battle, and only Sonic Battle, we'll never see E102 Gamma ever again. At least after the events when, Sonic Adventure was concluded, that, obviously he just dies in a actual explosion, and then frees the animal, critters and stuff, mainly with, like, the flickies and stuff like that. So, but you know, you get the idea about that. Alright, here we go, folks. This is the forms of the last platforming level to deal with in Sonic Advance 3, and suffice to say, I think this is easily the worst level in the whole entire game. Just because, if you think that Cybertrack Act 3 was bad enough, then prepare yourselves probably the most frustrating levels in the entire game. Or to be more specifically, the worst level I've ever played in this game. Well, here we are in the forms of Chaos Angel Zone Act 3, where basically the entire level is all about auto-scrolling, and because of that though, you need to ride on this platform at all times. However, again, if you manage to get hit, and if you manage to get knocked back by certain enemies, certain spikes, or even get crushed all the time, then this place is gonna be life strainers. And because of that though, if you think that the lily pad Water of Death was bad enough in Super Mario Sunshine that gives you a lot of life strainers, be prepared yourselves the most frustrating level in this game. So because of that though, yeah, I really do not like this level at all, just because, well, this level sucks. Anyway. And of course, as you can see, we only gonna need to find the final Chao in the game. And good thing as well is the fact that most of these Chaos in Act 3 wasn't nearly that far away from it. In fact, they actually just managed to able to go, likely due to the fact that, well, we actually almost getting pretty close to it. So, well, I don't know how do I truly explain it for this point right now, just because, again, it has been a while since I actually did manage to able to get back into this game, since, last Thursday. But, excuse me, that, speaking of first day though, is the fact that eventually at this point, until this first day in particular, then we can pretty much guarantee we can able to finish this game up completely. So, expecting to be, hyped later on. So, alright, so let's see what we got. Oh no, the lag. The lag just sometimes really messes my movements. But I somehow got knocked back, and then as a result I fall to the death below, so that's not good. But at least thankfully we got a checkpoint right there, but either way though, it's just that this level really does suck. But anyway. Well, good news guys is the fact that since we pretty much almost nearly at the end, so expecting to be no more frustration anymore in terms of, well, again, I just don't think that this game doesn't have, well, it does manage to have itself the bad level design. I think the level design is still not that good. Especially noticeable with the actual, well, one thing I totally forgot to mention, I think I did manage to able to accidentally set that error word by the Forms of Power Factor. You know, in the Forms of Toy Kingdom level, that basically is the fact that what if you manage to able to, well, if you're trying to able to put up with the forms of the crushing blocks and stuff like that, or getting crushed, basically it's the fact that, I swear, the hit detection is so huge. And because of that, though, I barely go to the left, right next to the crushing block. It's nothing to do with the actual collusion thing right there, it's just the hit detection, it kind of throws me off a bit. So, yeah, that pretty much summed up as the forms of why this level design is so bad in this game. But anyways, we got ourselves all the chows in the game, so at least we're expecting to able to be hyped right now, because we now got ourselves the final special stage key. So we're about to be preparing to ourselves. It's probably the hardest special stage in the entire game. Not just the entire game in my opinion, but the entire trilogy as of now. So, yeah, wish me luck on this. So, but anyway though, so we pretty much almost nearly at the end. Oh, by the way, something's worth noting for is that if you use the attack action, depending on what characters you're using, basically you can able to actually create your own colorful chow. And basically, just like in the forms of Sonic Advance 2, whenever you use that attack action, you can basically just manage to use the action button to able to send cheese to attack enemies. So, again, incredibly broken, especially noticeable if you ever played Sonic Advance 2 before, you know exactly what I'm trying to explain about this right now. Although something's worth knowing for is that Tails' flying ability while team up with Cream is pretty terrible because he tires out really fast when he starts flying. So yeah, I just want to point it out right away. So anyway, so now we're going to be switching over for Sonic and Knuckles when it comes to editing for my recording sessions and stuff like that. And before we get on to the forms of the next boss in the game, we're about to take on the 7th and the final special stage in not only Sonic Advance 3, but the entire trilogy of the Game Boy Advance Sonic games. So, and this is easily without doubt the hardest ones in the game just because, well, remember about the fact that, well, you know, it's where the point where you're gonna have to like, oh wow, I can usually just jump on these bullet bill-like enemies? I mean, that's pretty much how that usually goes for this point. And, basically, it's the fact that, and also another thing as well, you have to be absolutely perfect on this special stage, because if you mess up once or twice, then you're probably not going to make your way through. So because of that though, what if I managed the first time I experienced this, this variation of this special stage, like special stage 7 for instance, for the love of God, I always got screwed over at the very first part. Although, at this point, the second part right now is the fact that you notice with that little blue things right there, they now start moving. So, just keep this in mind. So, and I was actually incredibly nervous because I somehow managed to get screwed over once just right there, or twice right there. But I was really expecting to be hoping to able to actually make it through for the second and the final part. And also what's kind of annoying in this special stage is that some of these bullet bill-like enemies can now shoot projectiles at you, and I swear to God, it is so impossible to avoid sometimes, if depending on what direction they're shooting on. So yeah, you're gonna have to rank up more rings for this point, guys. You're gonna have to keep on ranking up more rings as much as you can. But anyway, we've pretty much done all the special stages in the entire Sonic Advance trilogy. And even especially noticeable, we actually got ourselves the 7th and the final Chaos Emerald. And once again, it's purple. So, yeah, pretty much the same colors as the previous 2 Sonic Advance games for sure. And as you can see, every time when you finish all the special stages in the game, you're able to actually access the secret code. And basically, I'm pretty sure what this means is that I'm pretty sure you're able to replay these special stages again, which I'm presuming that correctly. So even then though, again, if I'm wrong, then let me know in the comments. So because of that though, because it has been, you know, a couple of days since I actually did master the last touch upon this game, so anyway, now we're done with that, and now let's go ahead and deal with the forms of the next boss in the game, which, some people might seem to say this is one of the hardest boss fights in the game, but, it is kind of fun when you're trying to get used to with the actual boss fight itself. So, yeah, let's hop into here, and I think this is the last time we're gonna be seeing those little, ship-like things whenever you're entering into one. So, and because of that though, here we go on to the next boss in the game. And this boss does remind me of Egg Snake from the likes of Sonic Advance 1, like the exact same arena and everything, except the noticeable difference this time around is that, well, Gemeral's with us, obviously, and second, you're able to actually have a choice between two different gravities you can able to deal with. Because I say gravities is because this boss's name is Egg Gravity, meaning about the fact that in order to deal the damage on Eggman, you have to be sure you need to keep on hitting Gemeral's head from either top to bottom, and every time you attack Gemeral, it will send Eggman towards the top spikes or the bottom portion of the spikes. And the more you do them, the faster it will go for the actual boss fight, and it gets a bit tricky when you get to the 7th hit and the final hit, just because the actual moves is actually way too fast. But yeah, that's just something worth knowing for. And again, you can't really attack its Eggman's glass dome because it doesn't deal the damage, so you only have to hit Gemeral's head. I highly recommend you do a spin dash on Gemeral's head, because that way it makes the entire boss fight a little bit easier and simple. So yeah, he's done. Yeah, we already know about that. So anyways, that pretty much concludes Chaos Angel Zone. Again, a bit of a harder level just because of the forms of bottomless pits and all that stuff though, but I digress. And as you can tell, this is the last time we're going to be seeing this little cinematic scenes like this, because as soon as when you finish the boss fight in Chaos Angel Zone, you'll instantly manage to transport it into the next zone, which for now on, we'll show off the normal ending first. So, and as you can tell, we've managed to switch back to Tails and Cream together into the new zone, which appears to be Alter Emerald Zone. Now, at the moment, we can only just manage to able to deal with, well, the actual final boss. If you don't manage to collect all the Chaos Emeralds, or if you manage to able to pick someone else as the leader, like Tails, Cream, Amy, or Knuckles, and Sonic even though technically Sonic, well, usually relatively speaking, because if you have a first time experiencing this zone, basically once you beat the final boss, basically it'll just gives you the normal ending, just like the forms of how it does it on Sonic Advance 1 system, where basically if you manage to beat the final boss for the first time, then basically you always have to force to watch the normal ending first, and then once you've done that, you can pretty much guarantee to fight this boss fight again. But hopefully that'll lead us to the secret final boss. So, but yeah, that's how it goes basically. So here we go, folks. Here's the final boss in the game. As you can see, this is known as Hyper Egg Robo, which apparently that's what the name of this boss is named. And of course, as you can see, I'm doing this the cheating method by utilizing cheese by using attack action. And again, it really decimates bosses, which is incredibly broken, if you say so for myself. So, yeah, you can basically take this guy down no problem if you use that cheese ability. So, yeah, that's something worth noting about. So, and one thing I should probably mention about this before, or one thing I should probably mention, I should say, is that much like in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in Death Egg Zone, if you die in a boss fight, then you're gonna have to able to refight against with Gemeral, and then you would able to actually fight against with Hyper Egg Robo. So it's kind of like, it kind of does the same thing for Silver Sonic, and then once you've done Silver Sonic, then you deal with the Death Egg Robot. So yeah.
You're going to pay for this.
And speaking of such, just like in Sonic 1. Oh yeah, and also same applies to Sonic Pocket Adventure as well. That basically one of those characters can able to jump to Dr. Eggman and the last hit possible, and he's done and he's toasted. So there we go, and we got ourselves a glorious gold medal, and we can see the normal ending. So yeah, that was the normal ending for Sonic Advance 3, and if you do manage to actually collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds, well, basically that allows you to refight against with the exact same boss again, but with the forms of the secret final boss until later on. So anyway, and if you don't collect all the Chaos Emeralds though, much like in Sonic Advance 1 and 2, it does say get all the Chaos Emeralds, and it shows Dr. Eggman holding the Chaos Emeralds, so yeah, that's something worth noting about. And it has the exact same jingle as in the ones in Sonic Advance 2, by the way, so yeah, I'll put in a link in the description. So anyway, and once you see the credits for the first time, you do unlock the sound test, much like the forms of Sonic Advance 2. So anyway, gonna have to end things up at this point right here. So join me next time when Let's Play Sonic Advance 3, is that we're able to see the final boss and the true final boss as well. So I'll see you guys on Thursday. Later, fellas.